All right, so today we're really diving into this world of weather intelligence. And specifically, Tomorrow.io's platform, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just
yeah.
had all these new enhancements, and, they're already, like, known for this super accurate forecasting and all.
Absolutely.
But this is, like, they're going even further, giving you, like, those actionable insights that we all crave, but without that whole, like, information overload thing.
Yeah, it's really about clarity, right?
Right.
In fields where like weather can just make or break what you're doing.
Totally.
If you're in aviation, if you're in transportation, even just planning like a big company thing outside,
Right.
you know.
Exactly. You don't want everybody to get rained out. Right. So one of the first things that really stood out to me was this whole insights drill down. We're used to like the alerts, right? Like, hey, this might happen, but this is like, okay, but how might it happen?
Exactly.
And what do those like specific values actually mean when I'm like making a decision?
It's like, you know, it's one thing to know there might be a storm,
Right.
but then it's a whole other thing to know like how strong that storm is actually projected to be.
Totally.
So like, imagine you're in construction.
Yeah.
You need to know wind speed, right?
Yeah.
And that's not just about, oh, should I bring a jacket? Is it safe to, operate this crane today?
Exactly.
You need that level of detail.
Totally. It's like instead of throwing a dart at the board and hoping for the best, you're actually like seeing the trajectory and what the impact could be. Right? Okay, so speaking of things that like make my life easier just hearing about them,
Yeah.
the whole customized notification segments thing. Like, come on, we are all drowning in notifications these days.
100%.
And it feels like they get it. Like Tomorrow.io, they get that,
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all data points are created equal,
That's right.
So instead of bombarding me with every little thing,
Yep.
they're saying, you decide what's actually important enough for you to even pay attention to.
Exactly.
Like, it's almost like having a personal weather assistant
I like that.
who just, like, gets you, right, and knows your priorities.
Yes.
So instead of getting, like, pinged about every single degree the temperature changes, which who has time for that?
Right. Exactly.
You could, like, set it up to only tell you, if there's a risk of hail that's going to damage your crops.
Exactly. And that level of control is just essential now,
Totally.
especially when you're dealing with like really complicated stuff where like even a tiny little weather event can have like huge ripple effects.
Oh, yeah, you're not kidding. And no more, like, wading through all the data you don't need just to find that one thing.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so that's great. We have all this tailored information.
Right.
But then what about when you actually need to, like, show it to somebody?
Right.
Like, present it, and that's where their whole, revamped reporting features come in.
Yeah, they've really streamlined the whole process.
Oh, okay.
Which is great for anyone who has ever, struggled with some of those
Tell me about it.
clunky data platforms.
Yeah, exactly.
They've really improved location management, widget functionality. It's all the little details that make a
Yeah.
big difference when you're, on a time crunch.
And the fact that they actually, like, specifically said common pain points
Yeah.
tells me they're actually listening to people. Like, what are people saying? What's frustrating? Let's fix that.
Right. They're invested in making the experience good,
Exactly.
Not just like, here's some data, good luck. It's like they're really going for it, trying to make it something that people actually like using.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
It makes a difference.
It's almost like having, instead of just a map, it's like having a GPS that's actually telling you where you are, where you need to go, and what to watch out for. Right. Which is, essential when you're talking about something as unpredictable as the weather. Right?
Oh, absolutely. And, speaking of unpredictable,
Yeah.
one of the things that really stood out to me in their update was how they were talking about how all this is even more important now with, climate change and everything.
Yeah, that totally jumped out at me, too, because it's like they're kind of like building this,
Right.
weatherproof jacket.
Right.
Right as the weather is like deciding to throw everything it has at us.
Yeah, it's not just will it rain tomorrow anymore, right? It's like the effects that it could have, these increasingly, frequent and intense events.
Yeah, and on everything, right?
Yeah, everything, yeah.
Think about it. If you're, a logistics company.
Right.
And you're trying to plan your shipping routes.
Yeah.
Or if you're an energy provider, you got to make sure the grid stays up. Like, you need to know what the weather's going to do. Like, that's everything.
It's crucial. And that's where, this whole thing about actionable insights.
Right.
It really, like, that's where the rubber meets the road. Because it's not just about having, like, a ton of data.
Right.
It's can you actually
Yeah.
use it? Can you make a decision with it?
Right.
Can you mitigate the risk or, even use it to your advantage?
Yeah, it's like having a co-pilot in the cockpit with you who like really knows weather and can help
Yes.
you
Yeah,
navigate. Right?
exactly. Yeah. And just like a good co-pilot, they're not trying to you know,
Right.
overwhelm you with
Right. Big
a
fan.
million things. It's
Yeah.
just like, here's what you need to know right now to,
Right.
make this decision and get to where you're going.
And do it safely too.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you're not crashing.
Exactly. Yeah. No crashing.
It's kind of amazing when you think about it. We've gone from like basic forecasts
Right.
to this whole system for like navigating this like crazy unpredictable
Yeah.
weather world we're living in, right?
Oh, yeah. It's way more complicated now.
Totally. And what I like about what tomorrow.io is doing is
Right.
they're making it,
Accessible.
accessible, easy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about all these,
Right. All the
the
feedback.
drill down insights, the custom alerts, the reporting, it all kind of works together.
Yeah. Paints a picture,
So you can actually like look ahead and say, okay, this is coming and this is what I can do.
Right. Exactly. And it's not just for like the experts anymore.
Right.
Right.
Well,
It's like
yeah.
anyone who has to deal with the weather, which is kind of everyone.
Pretty much, right? It's not just checking the weather app before you go for a walk anymore. I
Right.
mean, this is like people are using this for, global supply chains.
Absolutely. Every level of decision making. It's incredible.
Which I think like leads to the big question.
Yeah.
How is this like this whole thing, right? This is changing so fast.
It's a new world.
How is this going to impact like all of us,
Yep.
as we go forward?
When you see companies like tomorrow.io out there on the cutting edge.
Right, pushing it further.
So it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, because I don't think it's only going to get more important, right? Whether we're talking about, how businesses work or just like staying safe.
Oh, absolutely. Or even, just enjoying your weekend, right?
Right, exactly.
Planning around the weather. It matters.
It all matters. Well, hey, that is it for our deep dive today on tomorrow.io.
Yeah.
Their platform, honestly, there's so many cool things.
Lots to dig into.
I feel like we could like keep going,
Yeah.
but we gotta leave it here for now. But hopefully this is like, something that makes everybody kind of think about things a little differently.
A good starting point.
Exactly. And until next time, stay curious out there and stay informed.